It was a tragic event in a simple domestic setting, a broken deck on a home in suburban Queensland that caused the death of a baby girl. It was a tragedy, but not a unique one. There have been a number of catastrophic collapses of household decks in recent years. Last month in New South Wales, a woman and her baby fell metres to the ground after a balustrade broke on their veranda, killing the little boy and leaving his mother seriously injured. Now a leading architects group has told 7:30 there could be as many as 12,000 dangerous structures on houses across Australia. Mark Willesee reports.
The people have just walked onto the balcony and it has just collapsed.
And when you saw broken legs, a lot of screaming.
Initially it was quite chaotic with 8 patients scattered over the ground.
When you look at the number of houses that are built in areas that are going to have a deck, there would be literally thousands of those around the country that have been poorly maintained, poorly constructed and therefore are very dangerous.
Potentially fatal?
Potentially fatal, absolutely.
And there have been fatalities in at least 3 states in recent years. And among the dead have been children.
It was amazing. She was such a wonderful girl. Alert from the word go. We're definitely very happy.
Oh, you're gorgeous, Bella.
Isabella, or Bella as she would be called, was Adam and Jenny Diefenbach's first child. The young couple had earlier moved into this rental property in Yeppoon in central Queensland. But from the start, Jenny Diefenbach wasn't happy with the condition of the house, including the front wooden veranda.
Well, the first thing I noticed was the big hole in the front deck, which sort of I noted on the entry report.
Jenny Diefenbach reported this hole to her real estate agent. The months passed and some work was done on a small part of the veranda. A few days later, Adam Diefenbach was nursing 7-week-old Bella on the veranda when he noticed another suspect board. He touched it lightly with his foot and it went straight through the rotten timber.
As a result of that, I pitched forward and lost my grip on Bella and she went over the veranda. And all I remember is thinking, no, 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 and just seeing her falling.
Their baby had fallen more than 2 metres onto some concrete mosaic tiles near the bottom of the front steps.
She was still breathing, just making these horrible, horrible gurgling noises.
Paramedics arrived within 5 minutes, but Bella Diefenbach died of massive head injuries before they could get her to Rockhampton Hospital. Did you ever think that that deck was that dangerous?
No way.
No.
If we had known, we would never have gone out there. We would have just packed up and moved. We wouldn't have even mucked around.
And the Diefenbach's lawyer says baby Bella would still be alive if the family's complaints about the wooden veranda had been acted upon properly.
The decking board itself that broke had less than 10% of its original strength left in it at the time it broke.
Bella Diefenbach isn't the only young child to die because of poorly built or maintained verandas. Last month, a 3-month-old boy fell 6 metres along with his mother when a balcony panel gave way. The baby died. His mother remains in hospital with serious injuries.
I can remember when, I heard, I was in shock. I just was crying. I couldn't believe it had happened again. And I thought, well, why has my baby gone through this and then for it to happen to another baby? It's not right.
Other tragedies include the death of a Queensland woman when a deck collapsed in Brisbane in 2008, while another wooden deck peeled off the side of a Sydney home last year, seriously injuring several people during a family farewell gathering. It was later revealed that the deck was held to the house by just 14 nails.
Every day I think about what happened. And
businesswoman Robin Crawford was hosting a birthday party for a friend at her Nowra home last year, a celebration of about 50 people on her spacious wooden deck.
She was just about to cut the cake and then there was just this massive bang, and then I just remember falling and thinking, had no idea what was going on.
Dozens of people fell more than 2 metres to the concrete below, among them a woman in a wheelchair and a 2-year-old boy. Paramedics treating partygoers for fractures, cuts and suspected spinal injuries.
It was just like a war zone. There was just people everywhere. One lady had massive facial injuries. I believe she hit the concrete face first and she had to be airlifted to Sydney with a lot of broken bones in her face, and she was in a bad way.
This accident could have been a lot worse because just minutes before this deck collapsed, there were about a dozen people enjoying the evening right underneath this structure of timber and steel. Police began an investigation which quickly focused on the deck's construction.
I bought the house in the year 2005 and all council certifications were in place saying that everything was approved, that it was all above board.
Luckily, everyone survived the deck disaster at Robin Crawford's house. But in other collapses around the country, that hasn't always been the case, with failures blamed on everything from termites to wood rot, corroded bolts, loose balustrades and the use of the wrong types of timber. Roy Kimball is a paediatric surgeon and he's written about the tragedy of deck and balcony collapses in the Medical Journal of Australia. He's dealt with youngsters involved in collapses and falls who've shattered limbs, fractured skulls and been impaled by splintered timber. Professor Kimball is calling for decks and balconies to be given a maximum capacity rating.
What I do know is if you go to a national park and you go into a viewing deck, there will be a plaque saying maximum number of people which should be on that deck. If you go into an elevator, then there'll be a maximum number of people who can be on it.
So Ian, how's this deck looking, do you think?
Well, these boards look like hardwood boards designed for an outside deck, and you've also got, obviously the appropriate decking nails that have been used as well.
Ian Agnew is the Queensland manager of Archicentre, a not-for-profit organisation of architects that provides advice to the building industry. Archicentre estimates there are 12,000 dangerous wooden decks and balconies across Australia, arguing the time has come for tighter rules and regulations.
We've seen whole decks collapse with whole parties out on the deck and lots of people injured, in a very bad way. So I don't know how many times it needs to happen before somebody actually sits up and takes notice and say, well, hey, we now need to actually legislate for this and make it something regular in the housing market.
After investigating the death of baby Bella Diefenbach, the Queensland coroner came up with 13 recommendations to stop injuries and deaths from deck collapses. Among them, mandatory inspections by independent builders of rental properties with balconies, verandas or decks that are over 10 years old. The classification of wood rot and termite damage as an emergency repair, requiring immediate attention. And the adoption by real estate agencies of a clear system of recording complaints from tenants. These recommendations by the Queensland coroner were delivered more than 18 months ago. The state government had promised after a separate incident to revise the laws on dangerous decks, but still nothing's been done. When 7:30 asked why, the Office of the Queensland Housing Minister said that recommendations regarding deck inspections were still under consideration and will be revealed when the government officially responds to the coroner's findings later in the year.
I think the 13 recommendations could go a long way to preventing death and serious injury, not just in Queensland but potentially on a national basis.
This is going to be something that helps people in the future not go through what we're going through. And for it just to sit on the back burners like it has just doesn't make sense.
Here comes Percy and Charlie.
Back in Yeppoon, Adam and Jenny Diefenbach are rebuilding their lives, and they now have 2-year-old Noah to care for. But they will be forever haunted by the death of their firstborn, Bella.
We don't want it to happen to anyone else. It's the most horrific thing you could ever go through. The laws need to be changed.
That's echoed by Robin Crawford. who was lucky to survive when her deck in Nowra gave way from under her.
I'll never forget that night. So it's just how it is. It's just something you'll just never get over.
Mark Willesee with that report.